MasterClass show, where 6 and 7 figure CEOs build their purpose driven legacy businesses through proven branding, marketing, and sales strategies so that they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. Thanks for watching the Life School Masterclass show. Join our Facebook group community of badass mission driven entrepreneurs, and come back next week, same place and time for our upcoming show.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, purpose driven entrepreneurs. I hope you're having a great Thursday so far. I'm back with you as usual, where we nourish our soul now the show is really expanding, so we're doing it more days. So I can't believe that I get a chance to bring you guys so many amazing people, guests, experts, topics, fields, everything. We got it all here. So, of course, today I have another beautiful guest on our show, Julie Lucca, and she'll talk to us regarding the topic that we touch upon on this platform so often. As we're building our life and business on purpose, which is tiny habits. I'm so excited to learn from Julie and introduce her to you guys as a community of purpose-driven, heart-driven entrepreneur. Julie, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this. I woke up with a pep in my step, knowing that I was going to get to speak to you and to your audience today.
I love it. I love it. I can already tell the energy because we work a lot on energy. We're beautiful souls. So I'm also very glad that I am meeting you virtually. We have been in contact through the community for a little bit. So can't wait to see what you have to share with us. So I usually start every natural conversation that I have here with an introduction. So tell us a little bit more of who Julie is, a little bit of your background,
Yes.
get to know you a
Hap-
little better.
Happy to do that. My name is Julie DeLuca Collins. And as you said, I am a business and life strategy coach that focuses on using the mindset and tiny habits framework to help entrepreneurs build a life and business confidently. My brand is Go Confidently Services. And really, one of the reasons that I started the brand is because as I grew a corporate career, and I was in corporate for over 20 years, successfully doing the thing, many women, as I continued to climb that ladder, really, the higher you get, the least amount of women you can find. Number one. Number two, what I would hear a lot from other women is, "Oh, I wish I was as confident as you." And I want to kind of bust that myth. Success doesn't come necessarily because you have all this ton of confidence. It comes because you do the right thing. You continue to show up, you're consistent, you have the right habits. And when you find the success, then yes, that does build your confidence. But I don't wake up every morning and think, "Oh my God, I'm so confident." Sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me see what I can do here." Or I'll go back and say, "You know what, Julie, I love you. Even though, you're looking a little pudgy today," whatever it is, we have to really be mindful of the words that we're using. But most importantly, we have to decide that we're going to show up. We have to decide that we're going to do the thing, even when it's hard, even when we don't see that we're getting any results. And when I left corporate and I launched my career, the reason I started my brand is because I wanted to breathe belief into the women that are trying to build a business, trying to build a freedom and lifestyle, that maybe have a dream and a purpose, but they're just not sure how to get from dream to actually doing it. So I wanted to teach them everything that I know as far as building a business successfully. I wanted to show them how to be able to, because anybody can give you a framework for business, right? You do this, you do this. But I also wanted to help them with the habits and the mindset that it takes to be able to do it. Because when you have that, then you start to do the work and you start to reap the benefits and you become more confident.
I love your journey and I could so relate. And we have so many entrepreneurs here that come from that corporate background, right? And
Yeah.
so many women leaders, so many visionary leaders, so many CEOs that we have that started their own companies have grown to build legacy businesses. And whatever
Mm.
stage they're in, we all
Yep.
struggle with our insecurities, with our uncertainties. And a lot of times, I love that you brought that message that confidence is what we see on the outside a lot of times from
Mhm.
people's journey. But, confidence from within, it's built within,
Yeah.
from the daily actions that you do take, from those tiny habits that you
Yeah.
instill in your life, so that no matter what, you're focusing on your transformation rather than on the results, because we
Yep.
all know that that inner process is what's going to get you anywhere.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think that, the one beautiful thing that you said, building a legacy business is not just, it's sort of like, when you're building a sustainable business, it's going to require a lot of different things. And some people get up in the morning, punch in their card, and then they're done. That's not a legacy business. A legacy business is really being able to say, what type of impact do I want to make, and how do I continue to have this go forward, even after I'm not here, even after maybe I want to do something else, and in creating an impact that can outlast you. And that's really requiring you to do the work in which you're committed and invested on a daily basis.
Oh my gosh, so beautifully said. And we so align into that. I feel like with this era that we're living in right now, we have so many people following their purpose and passion, and they
Mm,
create income out of that, because I always say we need income, right, to do more
of
good in the
course.
world. And most of us have started our businesses, that I know at least I did, because I said I want to do meaningful work, and I don't
Yeah.
want anyone defying what that would look like. So, more people are joining this movement for sure, which is why we have so many more businesses opening up, and
Mhm.
more people following their gifts and their passions, but missing a lot of times necessarily the roadmap of how to get there and how to align, their daily action, which is why my passion, is always about the education, and I call it skills. And for you, is
Mhm.
habits, because
Mhm.
that those are the things that you need to learn in your journey to sustain something on legacy. And what I mean by legacy is like working on your life's mission, working on your life's work in contribution to other people, because that's how we're all elevated right now. We're all looking for work that's fulfilling us.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, for instance, for myself, I loved my corporate career. I loved the work that I did. It was meaningful, fulfilling, but there was that piece that was missing. That piece that said, "What if?" And I think that your purpose, Julie, is more than this. And sometimes there's a lot of women who don't necessarily. Hear the voice, or if they're hearing it, they always second guess themselves and say, "Oh, who am I to do that?" And I want to tell people that when you have that calling and you feel that there's a purpose calling you, as long as you're passionate and you're willing to do the work daily, you can. It doesn't take a superstar. It doesn't, I don't have anything different from a lot of other people out there. But what is different is my ability to be able to show up, fail, and start again, because those are the big things that are going to propel you to continue to be successful.
Love it. Listen to the inner voice. I did the same. I made the same mistake. I
Mm.
stayed somewhere safe too long.
Mm.
It's always going to bother you. It's always.
Right.
So we'll definitely listen to that. So I'm so glad that we're just like have more awareness around this, because I honestly don't think at the time that I felt it, I understood how to translate it. I thought it was like, okay, what's going on? So I think it's really,
Mhm.
really important. All right, Julie, let's get into it. So tiny
Let's do
habits.
it.
So tell me a little bit more regarding how this whole process came
Mhm.
about in your life. How did you realize that tiny habits is really where you can sustain anything long term anyway? Right? And how do we start to instill these tiny habits in our lives? I know I just asked
Okay.
you three different questions, but
It's
go
perfectly
ahead.
fine. So, I will tell you that for me as a coach, I don't teach anything that I didn't need myself. I am my best client, honestly. And Tiny Habits was the framework that because we've read the books, right? People have read Atomic Habits, The Power of Habits, and these are great books. But there was something like, I'm like, oh, I missed a day, 66 days is not working, 21 days to instill a habit. How come this is not working for me? And I came across the book, Tiny Habits. And it was life-changing because Tiny Habits totally makes sense. It is written not by a journalist or someone that has done research on habits and has compiled it all together, but is written by Dr. BJ Fogg. Dr. Fogg is the leading researcher in when it comes to habits. He is the founder of the behavioral lab at Stanford University, and he's been studying habits forever. And one of the things that he found is that motivation doesn't get you to do the work. Think about everybody that sets a new goal January 1st. I'm going to, right, fill in the blank because many of us have created that, and we're super excited and motivated. We get the new outfit to go to the gym or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, when life starts to continue to happen, we're done. We're like, "Oh, I gotta go," and then you start to not do the work. So tiny habits is the premise that you don't rely on motivation, right? So, in order to not rely on motivation, you got to start tiny because tiny is mighty. So, when you start tiny, you also look at what is already automated in your life. Your brain is programmed to automate 90 to 80% of everything that you do. So your brain likes to have the efficiency. So you need to start to look at all the different things that are already automated in your life. And then you create, if you have an aspiration, if you have something that you want to do, right? So if you want to start to work out, and actually I'll give you an example, my personal example. I, on a weight loss journey, you have to drink water. I also know that my body works better when it's hydrated. So I wanted to recapture my habit of drinking water. And I wasn't drinking a lot of water being at home. So what I started to do is I looked in my life and I looked, what is the thing that I do every single day without fail? That's automated, that I don't even have to think about it because I got to do it. I came up with letting my dogs out every morning. I got to let my dogs out, right? So when I come downstairs, I open the back door and my dogs go outside. So that is my anchor moment. That anchor moment is then where I pair up my tiny habit. And my tiny habit is I fill up my water bottle for the day. I fill it up. Now, I am
Mhm.
not looking to drink the whole water bottle there. I'm not drinking, I'm not giving that, yes, it would be ideal. But all I am doing is that I am setting a habit that I'm going to drink my water. And if I'm going to, I need to fill the water bottle. Once I fill it, right, and this is the third step, anchor moment first. Second is you do the tiny action, and that's just filling up the bottle. And then the third step is you celebrate that you did the work. You celebrate it. Now, if I don't drink the bottle for the rest of the day, it doesn't matter. What it matters is that I actually celebrate it because this is where the magic happens. When your brain feels good, it creates change. So your brain doesn't create a habit. It doesn't create a new passageway in your brain if you're beating yourself up like, oh, I'm terrible. I didn't drink my water or I didn't do that. So all of that is one of the reasons why Tiny Habits works because you are creating the brain change by celebrating. You're also creating actions that are paired up with already automations. And then what happens is that new habit becomes encoded and automated in your brain. So now, do I drink my water? Yeah, I would say for the most part, because then I have a second tiny habit. I'll drink, when I come sit at my desk, I will drink my first chug of water. And guess what happens when I drink my water? I have to go to the restrooms probably an hour later. So then that is my automation. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. When I go to the bathroom, then that's my anchor moment. And then I pair it up with the action. I drink my water. Again, I chug some more water when I come back to my desk from the restroom. And then I celebrate, woo, I did my water. I got another thing of water. So then that keeps my momentum going. And what happens is tiny habits works like plants. They grow, they spread, but you have to really be able to plant that tiny little bit of a seed first to get started. And that's how tiny habits work. And that's a little bit of the framework that I use with my clients so that they can get the work done. Because when our brain is overwhelmed, many times what happens is we want to tune out, we want to scroll, we want to do something else that's more fun as opposed to the overwhelming. And that's when a lot of the entrepreneurs who are trying to do the consistent action don't get the traction, right? I say this all the time. Consistent action gets you traction, but if you're not showing up, you're not going to have that consistency. So that is the basic framework.
Wow, that's big. I'm a process studier myself, an investigator, and I love how you pinpoint. I love the anchor and I love the celebration because this can
Mhm.
work so much on the other end where you
Yeah.
are also developing toxic habits of just letting it go, setting a goal,
Mhm.
not following through, and then you make that to mean whatever for yourself, and that's where your confidence could go the other way as well,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. That's
This
exactly what happens.
confidence I could pick up. This is where you start building confidence that, wait a minute, if I just take these steps that you've broken down and you're helping so many people with, then I can
Mhm.
start instilling like anything that I want to have manifest and show up in my life in the day to day,
Oh,
eventually after a certain amount of time. It's all a process, isn't it?
everything is a process, and I think that a lot of people discount, and really, our brain is going to immediately go to the, oh, but that little thing is not enough. I'm never gonna, if you want to work out, oh, maybe, and really, when we walk you through as coaches, and again, we do a free 5-day masterclass on tiny habits. It takes less than 5 minutes a day to teach you the concept, but what a lot of people is like, oh, this will never work. I will tell you that hundreds and thousands of people that have gone through the process have been able to create tiny habits if they allow themselves to think, well, there's a possibility. Let me try it. And people that maybe wanted to work out, people that wanted to learn an instrument, people that wanted to fill in the blank, right? Maybe get better sleep, maybe build habits to combat their ADHD. All of that is stuff that is able to be accomplished through tiny habits. But you have to give yourself the opportunity that it is going to work. And always start tiny, always start with the minimal, it's not about, oh, I'm going to do like an hour of exercise. If you haven't been working out and you're going to all of a sudden go from no workout to an hour and it's hard, then your motivation is going to go away and then you're going to stop doing it. And then when you stop doing it, you beat yourself up. And when you beat yourself up, you're not going to do it because you feel terrible. And it's that cycle that kind of sinks you.
Ooh, that was a big one because we tend to go so many times to the extreme. Even I see this with
Hmm.
entrepreneurs building their business. It's like, I want to make this amount of income. I'm like, hold on, to get there, let's start small. Let's
Yes.
build your brand one person at a time, build your audience. Let's
Hmm.
how to market, how to align your messaging, how to align your business model, all of that, right? So
Yeah.
it's so I love the work you're doing because it can be applied to everything in our
It
life.
can be applied to anything. And, if, the one thing that we do with the Tiny Habits Academy is that we actually have tons of workshops for anything and everything because it applies to every part of your life. And it's not something that I use it in my business. I will give you, sorry, an example for how I use it in my business. When I come to, and I sit at my desk, I drink my first bottle of water, my first drink of water, right? But then my tiny habit is I then match up and I start to create these habit chains, right? So I drink my water, and the first thing I do, I don't go look at email. I don't, go social media when I first, but I open my planner, right? I open my planner and then I look at what my day is going to look like. I look at what my day looked like before, and that's all I'm looking at. I am not looking to plan. I'm not in now. Once I look at it, I celebrate it. That's my tiny habit. And sometimes because the planner is open, guess what? I'm going to start to write down or make notes or plan out my day. But that's all I'm going to do. And I already feel successful because I've done that work. And that definitely starts to, like I said, spread and grow and become a bigger habit.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. And happiness always lies in the progress anyway.
Oh, 100%, 100%, because we can look back and we can say, oh, look at what I've done. And that's evidence that we're capable. And sometimes when we feel like we're not capable, we're afraid. We live in that state of overwhelm. We live in the messy middle, and we're still going to be in the messy middle as we're progressing, but you're seeing some tangible evidence that you can do it.
Mm, love that. Love that. All right, Julie, I must have you back and we can dive into
Yeah.
this topic for sure in so many different angles that you could take it and go deeper. I feel like with anything really.
As
So
with anything.
yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more regarding your books. You said you've written a book.
Yeah, so I have one book, and that was an interesting journey. The book is called "Confident You: Simple Habits to Live the Life You Have Imagined," and I did not set out to write that book. I'll be 100% honest, and I knew that someday I would publish a book and write a book, but it just I think the stars really just did a line for me. I was doing some networking, and I spoke to someone, and that person actually read one of my travel blogs. I used to keep a travel blog, and one of the travel blogs I talked about a pilgrimage that I did in Spain, the Camino de Santiago, which is a 749-kilometer walk in northern Spain. And he was just, he was so complimentary. He said, "You're a really good writer. Do you mind if I introduce you to a literary agent?" And I met with him, and I really liked him. He helped me put together a, a proposal, and we were going to shop it around. And then I said, "You know what? I'm building my business. I don't have, the bandwidth to really go into this right now." And so I put it on the shelf and moved on to building my business and doing the work. And I was just starting out. And then sometime in late 2020, I actually met up with a publisher and said, "Hey, well, what do you think about writing a book? And would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, here's my little proposal." And he said, "This is fabulous, but that's not your book." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean this is not my book? I want to talk about my grandparents. I want to talk about their amazing story because they really have impacted me." And it's like, what kind of work do you help others with? And what has helped you become successful? And I thought, well, it's habits. And he's like, "Well, why don't you write a book on habits and confidence?" And I thought, "Oh, but I'm not the expert." And he's like, "Well, who are the experts?" I said, "Well, there's so many different people that have really poured into me and have helped me build the habits and create that belief and confidence." So the book is really 12 different anecdotes from the women and there's one male in the book, but there's all the women who I admire, have been very instrumental in my life, have used habits and have habits in their life that have allowed them to be successful and to get to live the life that they want for themselves and create the impact. And also the freedom to live their life and build a legacy like we've talked about. So that's what the book is about. And I was honored to be able to hit number one in several different categories when it hit: women in business, coaching, also women writers. And it really is an honor. It is my little baby. And the one thing about the book is that I would love people to read it, but I also want people to implement the tactics that are in the book. So there is a companion journal that goes along with it that comes with the book. And this way people can actually just do the takeaways and implement them for their lives.
Wow. I love that. And what a gift the person gave you in seeing really the gift in you. And even when you write something, you create a legacy
Mhm.
product like a book. I always say it's a legacy product because it
Mhm.
stays with you and it's part of your life's work and it can reach so many people and it's documented, right? So
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
doesn't get washed away or get overwhelmed by all the content and all of that. You can just always grab a good book, sit down,
Mhm.
and just open up your mind.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's the magic. There's so much magic into reading a book. But I was going to stop at the fact that we do need someone that aligns what we want to write about, that
Mhm.
aligns with our life's work, because a lot
Yeah,
of the times we don't really know where to start or what to write about, because
yeah,
there's a million books in each of us because of the way that we spin the experience and the way that we talk about it. So no need to be an expert, just speak from your life experience. And I'm
I
sure
love that.
it will help someone else that can identify and relate to that. So I love that your book, you stay true to your nature, your authenticity, your experience, and now you have something that I'm sure is in the hands of so many more people that have at least the information. And you've also thought about the implementation. So that's really cool as
Yeah.
well, right?
It's
We
the
all
teacher in me, is the teacher in me that said, how can we support further support? Because I walk away with reading so many books and I'm like, this is so good. And then if I don't go back to read it, sometimes, life gets in the way of implementing.
oh gosh, I have a goal of a book a month. I think, that's one thing that we can do more of, and
Mhm.
it's little tiny habits on how to start
Yeah.
planning that into our day-to-day. But,
Mhm.
my goal eventually is to do one a week, which is pretty challenging with everything
I
happening.
love that.
One a
Ooh.
month. I think book reading is brilliant. It should never ever
Mhm.
stop. And
No, not at all.
do
Not
it.
as I sit here and I look at all the books that came in from Amazon this week. I am a reader and I usually have 2 or 3 different books going at once. Maybe I need to just concentrate on one and move on, but my crazy brain is like, "Ooh, what about this one?" So, anyhow, that's
Yeah, yeah. All right, Julie. So let's wrap up here. I love everything you share with us. I'm so thankful that you were able to dissect that. So I have no doubt that the audience walked away with some really good nuggets there. And a lot of times, it's not that we need to reinvent the wheel with information. It's just that
Mhm,
we just like talk about it a different perspective, or we just like remind ourselves so that we're wiring our brains with with this information that's going to feed our purpose, right? So
mhm.
do so many different things. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you did with us. And I would love to ask you, where is it that people can find out more about the workshops that you do, your books, all your life's work, pretty much? Where
Yeah, and
do you go first?
thank you. So I would say whatever social media platform, and we're on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm Julie DeLuca Collins on all of the platforms. I'd love for you to connect with me there and just tell me, hey, I heard you at the Life School MasterClass show. I'd love to find out that this is how we're connecting because you're doing some incredible work, and I think that the people that follow you are people with a dream, with a purpose and passion, and that definitely aligns with me. And again, if you want to visit my website, it's goconfidentlycoaching.com, and the information is there. But I also shared a little bit of that, and you can do tiny habits, or if you want to do the 5 day, which is a great experience from the Tiny Habits Academy, just let me know. Shoot me a DM, and I can make arrangements for you to have that. And it's free. It is free coaching, and we don't try to sell anything. It's just come in and learn how to implement tiny habits for yourself.
Yep, don't be afraid. Get the knowledge and information. I know because of a lot of, congestion right now that we
Hmm.
have our walls up with a lot of things. So we're like, I don't want to
Hmm.
be sold to, right? But it's
Yeah,
hard,
no, for sure.
hard driven. It sounds like it's hard driven. I mean, you're amazing. Your energy can't lie. I always say when you come from the heart, it's like you don't need words. It's kind of that
Mm,
that you are about. And let's join communities. Whoever's coming from Julie's community, I mean, I believe in collaboration all the way. The message has to reach the most people for impact, right?
yeah,
So
for sure.
even if you're listening to the Life School Masterclass show on Julie's community, definitely join us and let's see what amazing opportunities we can come up with and co-create together. This show is also available on podcast for those of you that do the eye plugs, the
Yeah,
earplugs
the earplugs, right?
now. Like me, that's how I started all my learning experience,
Yeah.
development, because of the no time, net time, and gym time, and all of that. You can find us as a podcast as well. So, Julie, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we made this happen, and you're welcome again with open doors in our community to share more regarding the work you're doing, all the new projects that you have going on as you're also growing and learning and also expanding and reaching more people. So thank you so much for everything you share with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and I'm super excited to be a part of this community. And I hope your listeners remember go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Ooh, love that final message. Thanks so much. And guys, I will see you and on another show. I can't promise now because I'm aligning the schedule. September is going to be a big season for the Life School Masterclass show as I'm ramping up with more shows, more guests, more content, more knowledge, more education, more of everything amazing. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye, everybody. Bye, Julie.
Bye, everyone. Bye.